Hi everyone. I'm back with another video about the end of January 2025. So I did another video recently that was about all the different things that are happening here at the end of January. And this one is going to focus specifically on the Aquarius New Moon, which is happening on January 29th. So that's kind of our focal point, but we're also going to connect it to Pluto moving into gate 41 on the next day. So on the one hand, it's like any new moon in the sense that it's always a new beginning, a time to begin again. And so all new moons are that way. And they're always a great time for us to create new intentions and new aspirations and new focus for the upcoming lunation, right? That's always the case. But here we've got a new moon in Aquarius, and we're just moving into the age of Aquarius, and Pluto has moved into Aquarius. And Pluto's about to move into the gate 41, which is really the beginning of the age of Aquarius in the human design system. So we're going to unpack that today. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Before we dive into the specifics for the new moon, I want to invite you to come and find out about our brand new program that we're doing. It's Evolve Yourself with the Human Design Transits. So many of you have asked me for a program that would help you to be able to be more informed and more aware of how to work with the transits yourself. And I did promise it to you, and now I'm finally providing it. So I'm really excited about that. And this program will enable you to take what I'm doing with the transit reports and then work with it more yourself. And also you'll be able to know how to source the information that you want and how to interpret it and what it means for you in relation to your own human design chart, but then also to understand more broadly that the human design transits are really a path that are leading us into our evolutionary state and into new earth. And so as we follow the transits, we get to follow that path that the planets are sending us on. But a lot of times we don't know how to do that from a human design point of view. And some of you may already know how to do that from an astrological point of view, but you may not know how to do that either. This is how to do this with a human design. And then in addition to that, we're going to focus really on the Incarnation Cross, which is your four most important gates. And they're your conscious sun and conscious earth and your unconscious sun and your unconscious earth, and what those mean for you and how you put them together. The idea here is that we're going to be looking at transits in general so that you can kind of understand how the transits work, and we'll be following them together. But then in addition to that, you're going to look at your own specific transit, because your Incarnation Cross is a snapshot of the transits at the moment you were born, and then also 88 days prior, and that you put those together, and that's how you get your human design chart. So your Incarnation Cross comes from the transit that was happening at those moments, and we're going to dive into the specifics of that. So I'm doing a preview session on Tuesday, the 28th, called Evolve Yourself through the Human Design Transits. It's a totally no pressure session where you get to find out about what we're going to do, and you can see if it feels right for you. You know, it's a no pressure thing. I want you to come if it's right for you, and if it's not right for you or it's not the right time, it's all good. I'm going to continue to do transit reports, and you will continue to be able to follow me along in that way. So I will put the link for that down below in the description and at the end. And we start in February. So we're starting soon. And if this is something that you really love, is following the transits, and you want to know more about how to do it, and then also you want to be able to have coaching that goes with this, because this is really part of a group coaching program. And we're focusing during this spring semester, particularly on the transits. So it's not just information you're going to be getting. You're also going to have the opportunity to work with other participants, and then also do coaching with me. So if that interests you, I hope that you'll come and check it out. All right, let's go ahead and dive into the new moon. So here's the body graph for the new moon, and you can see that the moon is in the gate 19 and the sun is in the gate 19. So for every new moon, the sun and the moon are together, which is why it's a new moon. You can't see it, right? Because it rises and sets with the sun. And the sun is far brighter, so we don't get to see the moon at that time. So we call it a dark moon or a new moon. So here it is in the gate 19. And the gate 19, the gate 19, it's so sensitive, that gate 19. It's in the commerce circuit of the tribal circuit, and it connects the root center to the emotional solar plexus through the 1949. And so this is partly about partnership. It's about relationships. It's about intimacy. It's about how do we know if it's right, the intimacy that is potentially on offer here. Is this something that's right for us? Is it something that we can trust? It's known as wanting in traditional human design and attunement in quantum human design. But it's known as a highly, highly sensitive gate and is associated when people have this defined in their natal chart with highly sensitive people. If you have this in your chart, you may know that about yourself, or I come to see that this is just a quality of the energy that you have. So the attunement that's on offer here is attuning to, is the relationship working, right? Or is the relationship that's on offer? Are we attuning to that? Is it a good match? Is it a good fit? Is it working for us, right? So if we think about this as far as the new moon, we're going, okay, so here we are. We're feeling very sensitive, and we're at the beginning of something new. And here we are at the beginning of the age of Aquarius as well. So some of the astrologers are saying that this new moon is actually an ignition point for the whole Aquarian age, since it is the first new moon in Aquarius that's happening since Pluto moved into Aquarius, and we're heading into the precession of the equinoxes. So we know that Aquarius, right, the water bearer, is about community. It's about sovereignty, personal sovereignty, and it's about us aligning with cosmic consciousness. It's about us really paying attention to what it is that is coming to us from the information that's coming through that neutrino stream, right? Which is really what the transits are all about, is helping us track the spiritual information that is coming to us from the planets and showing up so that we can analyze it inside the human design mandala. And here we are with this really sensitive gate being lit up. And how is that influencing us stepping into our sovereignty even more, stepping into communities that work for us, right? So it can give us an attunement to, is the communities that we're a part of, are they working for us? Or does there need to be a change? Does there need to be an upgrade? Does there need to be a shift? Or do we need to look for a different community or additional communities where our sensitivity and our desire for community that also honors our personal sovereignty, right? Are we in a community that really supports us for that? And if not, maybe we could start opening up to the possibility that new communities will become available to us and will be important to us. So that's one way to think about this. So part of this is about our ability to be sensitive to what's going on through the earth as well, right? What is it that we're feeling is happening with the earth? And I think that there are just so many more of us. I'm sure that you're paying attention to all these different, like, pretty wacky things that are going on weather-wise, and all of the different earth changes that we've had, whether that has to do with, weather being crazy or earthquakes that are happening, or, we've had hurricanes and we've had fires. I mean, really, it's like all over happening, all kinds of things, lots of flooding, right? All kinds of stuff, right? And so we know that our earth is going through a lot right now. And how can we be sensitive to what is going on with the earth without being overwhelmed by it? So this is a big growth curve for all of us right now, I think, because the things that are going on with the earth are pretty undeniable at this point. I mean, I saw somebody ice skating in New Orleans. I mean, there's snow in Florida, and that's because there are glaciers in Antarctica that are melting, which is changing the jet stream, which is now changing weather all over the place. It's not because the planet's getting colder. So here we are, right? We get to be in this moment. And how can we be sensitive enough so that we can open up to be like, wow, I can witness this, but not be so sensitive that we're like, I'm just going to go and pull the covers over my head because I don't really want to be seeing what's going on. It's too much for me. Now, You may have moments like that. Certainly when the fires started happening in Los Angeles, I had my moments like that. I shared about that in one of my earlier videos. We're going to have moments like that. But then it's like, how do we grow ourselves to be strong enough and resilient enough to be able to, yes, be sensitive, take off some of those coats of armor that we've put on because we've had a really fast-paced, pretty intense environment we've been living in, right? How do we take off some of that armoring so that we can actually pay attention, but not so that we crumple, right? So as you're planting your seeds for yourself in this new moon, think about, what do you want to become more sensitive to? What do you want to attune yourself to? What in your relationships, because this is tribal circuitry is always about relationships, right? What do you want to become more attuned to, more sensitive to in your relationships, and particularly your more communal ones? Now, this could be close in, like with family members, it could be, but it could also be more in community, especially since it's in Aquarius, right? Which has a lot to do with community. So you could really be looking at how are things working for you, right? In your relationships, in community, and does there need to be a change? And this year, the Chinese New Year begins with the New Year in Aquarius. The cycle for the Chinese New Year is different. It's set on a different lunation cycle than the one that we're working with here in tropical astrology. But this year, they're related and they're close, right? But they're somewhat different. This year, they're on the same day. And so we're entering the year of the wood snake. Interesting, right? Because the snake is kind of like Phoenix energy, right? Because the snake is often seen as a symbol of rebirth because the snake sheds its skin, right? And so it goes through its own metamorphosis. And here we are with Pluto highlighted again, right? Pluto, which is Phoenix energy, which is also about death and rebirth. Right. So we've got an interesting combination going on here. And, sometimes I think really in Western culture, we've been taught that somehow snakes are negative, right? But in ancient goddess culture, snakes were revered and lots of people love snakes. So I'm somebody who's really kind of evolved my relationship with snakes over the course of my life. I used to be really terrified of them, and now I find them really interesting and kind of cool. I would say for you is, what's your relationship with snake energy like? And does it need an upgrade? Because here the snake is really showing us in part, right, our ability to transform, our ability to grow and to evolve, and that we get a strength from being able to let go the things that don't work for us anymore, things we've just outgrown. And we have a huge year where you have the opportunity to upgrade your self-concept, your identity, and not just the opportunity, but I think a lot of us are going to be getting one of those knocks on the door that says, it's time, sweetheart, to make those changes that you've thought about before. We even have Chiron in the gate 51. And the gate 51 is about initiating ourselves into higher consciousness. And Chiron is the wounded healer that says, are there some wounds that need to be healed here? And as you do that, initiating yourself into higher consciousness, this is a powerful energy to support you to be upgrading your self-concept during this time. And if the snake works for you as a metaphor, use that. If the phoenix works for you, you can use that one. But you can see we're starting to have a lot of things that are accumulating and sending us a similar message, but with slightly different tones. So that's all happening on January 29th. And then the very next day, on January 30th, Pluto moves into the gate 41. Now, the last time that Pluto moved into the gate 41 was when we had the American Revolution and the French Revolution. It's a very revolutionary time. And this is starting off a whole new Plutonian cycle for us, which is 248 years. And Pluto is going to be moving through over that 248 years, going to be moving through every single one of the gates in the human design mandala, and is going to be asking us to really take a look at what needs to die away and then what's going to be reborn out of that death. And Pluto is just going to be like pulling out the things that no longer serve us. Now, we've been in this process for quite some while because Pluto was in the gate 60, and the gate 60 had a similar energy to that, right? The gate 60 was about, okay, what are we going to leave behind and what are we going to take with us as we move forward? It's this kind of discerning energy of deciding, what's really valuable that we want to hold on to. What are the new innovations that make sense to us? Because it was in the knowing circuit. So it's like, what were those new innovations we want to take forward? And what do we want to let go of? And Pluto was also in Capricorn. And so Pluto was like saying, what of the structures of the old world are no longer working for us? What needs to break apart and die away? And then what's going to be reborn out of that? And we're starting to see that happening here in the United States in a big way, but not just here in the US, because there are liberation movements that are happening in many different parts of the world right now. So I think that we're just in an enormously dynamic time. And here we are starting at this initiating codon of Pluto moving into that 41. And so the 41 is the gate of imagination in quantum human design. And Pluto is really saying to us, what are we doing with our imaginations, right? Are we in command of our imaginations, or have we given the power of our imaginations away to outside forces? And any time that we outsource our identities, like our sense of who we are and who we should be, which as young people, we generally do to our parents, our communities, our school and stuff like that, right? I mean, it's kind of because we're learning what is this earth and what is this place and how do I fit in, right? That's a normal thing that kids do while they're growing up. But if we do that as we continue to grow up, if we don't individuate to the point where we grab a hold of our own identity and then construct it for ourselves the way that we want to, we continue to outsource our sense of who we are and our sense of our identity out to outer sources who tell us you should be this, you should be that, you should do things this way, you should do things that way. Oh, whatever you do, don't do that, right? All of these messages that we get from the people in our lives, from media, from different things that we read, all kinds of outside forces, right? We're really at this point of really wanting to go back inside and see what's true for us. And this is one of the things I love about human design, because human design helps us. As soon as we start to look inside and go, what's true to me? What's genuine to me? Human design says, well, you know what? Here, take a look at this, because these are your core energies. And then there's also these energies that you're going to experience many, many different times over the course of your life, but you're going to experience them differently at different times around different people. And it helps us to know, there are things that are in our current outer environment that are not even represented at all on the human design mandala. They don't exist. Okay, like dictatorship. Actually, that's not true. Dictatorship's in the gate 45, but it's tribal circuitry. It's not collective circuitry like dictatorship of the world, right? But like global war, that is not the kind of war we have today. That is not on the human design mandala. So the mandala, in a sense, is saying to us, here we are as a species, as a humanity. We want to be working with these energies, and there's over 125 of them in the human design system, but this is what we want to look at. And things that are not on here, like multinational corporations, right, that are taking over huge parts of our lives, right? That's not on the human design mandala. So we'll have to see how this all unfolds, right? And I know that some of you may be feeling some fear about what's going on in the outer world, feeling like there's this consolidation of power. And there is, to a certain extent. But we're still moving into the age of Aquarius, and that cannot last. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know how long it's going to go on for. I know what some of the guides are saying. I know what some of the predictions are. But I just think the main thing we want to do is just, instead of going out there for information, out there for who we are, out there for what matters most to us, we want to go in here. You want to go in here. You want to source inside for what's true for you. And here you can use Pluto moving into that gate of imagination to reclaim your imagination, reclaim your creative life force, and use that to create your new self-concept, upgrade your sense of who you are. And you can be thinking about, like, what are my roles and responsibilities as we're moving into an entirely new age? What is my contribution here? Whatever age that you're at, right, you have an opportunity to begin again. All of the planets basically right now, and all the gates, there's so much energy around begin again, start new. So you have the opportunity to do that. So if you knew that you couldn't fail, if you knew that you could get as big in whatever area of your life that you wanted to be, if you knew that that could happen, what would you do? What would you do? Use your imagination, right? And just know that using your imagination, it's your innate creativity. It's a God-given talent that you have. It's a superpower. Reclaim it for yourself, right? And as you do that, your life can start to be really different, because you'll start to get the impulses from inside of you rather than trying to follow what's going on out there. And I think that when the outer world is more tumultuous and it's so polarized, and it's hard to even know what's real anymore with AI coming in and the way that, we've got bots doing all kinds of things, right? There's this kind of sense of like, what is real and what isn't real, right? The way you can know your human design authority, So check that out for yourself and listen to what is coming through you as to what's true for you. I wanted to show you this one last image here that shows that Mercury is also in the gate 41 with Pluto, and they're going to be there together for a little bit. And what I want to emphasize here is just that, Mercury is mental, right? Is fast, and also communication. We usually know Mercury as communication, and also technology. And so here, Mercury is here, which is going to give you the ability to communicate, to give voice to give life to what it is that you're imagining. The invitation that I would suggest is you might want to get together with trusted friends and do some imagining and some visioning together during this time. Just really be going, wow, what is it that we like let yourself out of the box of what you can imagine, of what you want this Aquarian era to be. What do you want this to look like? Right? I know for me, I want to see more equitability in income, right? In financial resources. I want to see that spread out more about more people in the world. I want to see that we are starting to bring the resources that we have to healing our planet. I want to see that, those gas and oil companies that have left disasters, basically, where they've been drilling in Brazil, and they have been fined, but they don't care. They just pay the fines and they leave, like just horrible, toxic waste, in the homelands of indigenous people in Brazil. So I know that those are things that I care about, right? I mean, I care about there being fresh water for people in different parts of the world. There's lots of people who do not have access to fresh water, right? So these are some of the things that I care about. What are things that you care about? What do you want to see be different as we move into a time that's more focused on both personal sovereignty, which is what I'm talking to you about taking your power back, taking your imagination back, not outsourcing your identity, not outsourcing your imagination. Those are all sovereignty practices. And in addition to that, what do we want to see community-wise? How do we want to upgrade our relationships and our ability to communicate with each other? So we've got a lot that's going on here, and I would just sum this up for you to say, during this time, right here at the end of the month, you've got a few super potent days. And if it all feels a little overwhelming and you're like, I don't really know how to make sense of all of this, that's fine. The main thing you want to do is spend some time with yourself, right? Do some meditation. Do some writing, do some drawing or some painting or some collaging. Do something that opens up your creative juices. And even better, you could do some of this with other people, right? And just open up your imaginative faculty and send the critic on vacation. Give them a Mai Tai and a towel and say, go hang out by the pool until I'm ready to talk to you again. And let your creative being just come out. right? And play. And don't think for a minute that you're not a creative being, because every single person is creative. You can't not be creative. You're creating right now. You're a creative being. You are an expression of divine source energy, which created this whole friggin' universe. So you can't not create, but you want to create on purpose. You want to create consciously and not by default, which is what a lot of us do a lot of the time. So take advantage. If it all feels like too much information, that's okay. Just kind of feel into snake energy, Phoenix energy, begin again energy, imaginative possibilities. What would I want the new earth to look like? Sounds like a good endeavor to me. And if you like noodling around with these transits, like I do, then I invite you to come and check out this program that I'm doing February through May. And it's a group coaching program that includes looking at the transits, looking at the Incarnation Cross, and then there's lots of other goodies that are inside of that just waiting for you as well. But those are kind of the main themes that we're doing for those 4 months. So if you're interested, come to our information session that's happening on Tuesday, the 28th, and there will be a recording if you can't come live. But I'll tell you, I will have something special to give away to people who do come live, because I like to reward people who, make the time for it. All right. So many blessings, my dear friends. Take good care. Take good care of yourself. Take good care of the people around you. Try not to stress too much. Grow your patience and grow your inner sovereignty. All right. Many blessings. Much love. Bye for now.